Hello, and welcome to the People Often Suck podcast, where we talk about the suckiest suck that currently sucks. I'm your host, Tom.
And I'm TC.
And at the end of our episodes, we're going to share uplifting stories that will bring hope back into your heart. But for now, let's start off with our first story.
So in today's episode, we're going to start with, I know, Tom, it's going to be very upsetting to you, as it was very upsetting to me when I was reading it. And I wavered back and forth if I was going to bring this POS to our podcast. And I decided that...
You don't have to protect me. I'm a big boy. I can handle it.
Well, yes, but you're going to get angry. I know you're going to get angry because it's involving animals. But I think that at the end of the day, it's important sometimes for us to show what POSs are out there that do bad things to animals.
Okay, unless this is a John Wick situation, there better be some retribution here.
Well, I think there is some retribution. I mean, I think we can be happy that there was some retribution at the end, but there isn't a lone Keanu Reeves that is going around exacting revenge.
Yet.
Not yet, at least, no. I'm going to just start off with saying that out of a lot of things that we have shared so far, in the first 7 episodes of the podcast, that and some of those have been people getting murdered, which, of course, there's no excusing that. That's horrible. That's horrific. Human life is certainly, the most valuable of lives. But I think in some ways animals have a very special place in our hearts that if you harm an animal, you deserve a certain place in hell.
And some people need help getting there.
And hopefully for this couple, Irene and Chad. Irene is 55. Chad is 40. So nice 15-year difference there. I guess age doesn't really matter if you're in love.
Wait, sorry, I blacked out. How old is Chad?
Chad is 40.
I was just focusing on his name.
Chad?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's a relatively common male name.
I know, but it's just
Chad.
In today's world.
Okay, Irene and Chad, a couple from Winnipeg. So they're Canadian.
So they got that going against them.
Yes, they have that going.
Strike one.
To all of our Canadian friends who are now going to boycott us.
What are they going to do, huh? Exactly.
Throw snow at us? I'm not sure.
That's all they can do.
Maybe throw some maple syrup at us. Although I could be happy about that.
I'd be fine with that, honestly.
Throwing some poutine at us?
Oh, dude, come on. Let's not start with the food already.
Okay. So recently, as recent actually as October of 2024, this couple was arrested. They were arrested. I'm going to give you the headline, and then we'll go into the story. This woman, Irene, is accused of crushing animals to death with her feet for dark web video.
What the actual?
Yeah.
Like, there's not enough internet. We have to go there.
Well, I discovered a couple things, unfortunately, in a not so positive way about this. So I've heard the thing about dark web. Are you familiar with dark web and what that means?
From my understanding, it's basically where all the naughty, illegal activity tends to transpire. It's not something. Yeah, it's not like, you just go to I don't even know how you get there.
You have to, according to this report, you have to have a special browser to get to it, which I am not even going to go research because I don't even want to open that rabbit hole and go down that world of what freaks are on display out there. And these aren't even freaks. These are not freaks. These are just pure evil individuals. So they were arrested in October of 2024 for torturing and killing animals and selling the videos on the dark web. So they're not even just doing this as pure whatever. They're also profiting off of it as well.
I mean, you're already demented to be making the content, but there are people out there buying it.
And those people, as a collective group, are a POS as well, because you're supporting this. I mean, that also is bad. and you're not doing anything about it?
Well, it's just gross that these people are out there unidentified. It's like, out in the communities.
Well, thankfully, there was a citizen who tipped off a veterinarian who then went to the police about these videos that were on the dark web. And so that got turned over to investigators who then further looked into the whole situation and eventually went to the home and seized, several electronic devices that had hundreds of videos and photos and tens of thousands of encrypted communications between these two literal POSs. And it wasn't just, well, we'll get into a little bit more of their kind of very dark and demented world. At one point, the police, they seized, of course, cat carriers. A lot of this, they didn't mention anything about a dog. I know you're a huge dog lover. I love dogs, but I'm also a huge cat lover. So this was even more disturbing for me.
Yeah, and I've let that go.
Shut up.
I've looked past that.
Just because cats are smarter than dogs. It doesn't mean you should hold it against me. Anyhow, so in the initial court proceedings, by the way, she's being held without bail, thank God. And I'll tell you why in a moment. So besides seizing cat carriers, multiple cell phones, a computer, and then Irene's diary, which I'm sure is probably quite juicy, of a bunch of weird stuff.
Diary.
Mm-hmm. She also had a blue Tupperware bin that was seen in videos and claimed to have had cats in it. Okay. All sorts of things that they found in this home of torture and murder of animals. So they decided that they were not going to grant bail for this Irene chick because they had also discovered in the communications that Irene was discussing with Chad. Initially, they did grant Chad bail, and he got out on bail, but then they since have rearrested him and brought him back in and are holding him without bail because they discovered communications between them about torturing a child.
Oh.
And there was even sexual components to those messages. So this could have, if this wonderful citizen who went to the veterinarian and the veterinarian going to the authorities hadn't intervened when they did, who knows how far this would have gone to the point where this could have involved torture, sexual acts, maybe even death of a child. And I've heard, I could be wrong. There could be a lot smarter people out there who know this better than I do. But I've heard that usually torture and killing of animals is a gateway that will introduce the person's demented mind into going next to possibly children or humans as far as doing torture and killing.
Oh, yeah, when that's not enough of a thrill.
Exactly. Because they get a different level of reaction out of the person, obviously, that they get a thrill off of. So these two pieces, well, I was going to say it, these two POSs,
be careful.
because it's making me so angry, are being held without bail. Apparently, Irene, she gets some sort of pleasure out of this, which is kind of sad. They're estimating that more than 75 animals had been filmed or photographed being tortured and killed. One of her favorite ways of doing it is putting a cat under her foot, and smashing it. I mean, this is just how sick and demented and horrible. Apparently, this has gone back to her childhood. This wasn't something that just started. This goes back, as one person here was commenting, she crushes bare feet because that's what she enjoys, as it brings her extreme satisfaction, even to the point of orgasm, without being touched. This person said, she's one in a million. I think she's one in a million scum bucket POSs.
Well, except she has Chad, who apparently is cool with all this. So
and is obviously joining in and helping.
Yeah, so she found somebody with a similar mindset. Just bizarre that they happen to be in close proximity of each other.
Again, seeing it, and I'll show you a picture. This is the picture of the couple.
Oh, geez.
I
They
mean,
look totally normal too.
exactly. You look at it and you think, oh, okay, it's a couple that you would see on holiday somewhere, just having a good time or whatever. But
Yeah.
no, they are spawns of the devil. Seriously.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not one to kink shame, but there is a line when I'm sorry. No, just no.
Yeah.
Absolutely not. You should be shamed completely. We should bring back shame. I feel like people aren't shamed enough these days.
Exactly. So they're saying that she's been doing this since she was a little girl. That's how long she's been doing. She's 55 and she's been doing this since she was a little girl.
Where were her parents?
Exactly. Where were her parents? Where were her friends? Where was anybody in society to have seen this demented aspect? You have to believe that she couldn't have kept this 100% a secret or quiet the entire time.
No, there had to have been like previous boyfriends or something who, she told or, they saw or heard of. It's like the red flags were there.
Which I hope by sharing, we're not sharing these stories just because we want to get people grossed out or gasp at something or whatever, or
I definitely don't want to hear stories like this.
Exactly. But we're hoping that by sharing some of these stories of people who literally do horrific things like this, that you take a second glance at your neighbor, even sometimes your own family member or friends. And if you really do question something that they're doing that, is out of the ordinary.
Are you promoting a see something, say something?
Hell yes.
Campaign?
Because I'm sorry. I don't want to hear of any animals being tortured or abused. None. And like I said, it could lead to a child or an adult that eventually gets tortured and or killed, because this is where the demented mind of this will go into that next step. And then I gave my cat a hug after I read the story.
Oh, I'm definitely hugging my dog when I get home.
I wanted to start today off with this rather happy fairy tale, grim story fairy tale.
Well, my story pales in comparison to that. My gosh.
So on to you, Tom.
Well, just got to recover from that.
I'm sorry. I told you that it would be a little bit of a doozy today. Sorry.
Yeah, you did forewarn me. I didn't think it was that, though. Jeez.
Yeah.
So, my dude, little blast from the past. I don't know if maybe this might jog a memory for you. Does the name Oscar Pistorius ring a bell?
I don't think I can actually say, honestly, that rings a bell.
Now, how about a Olympian runner, Oscar Pistorius?
Yeah, it's ringing a little bit of a bell.
Okay. Now, remove his legs and replace them with what essentially were blades. Does that ring a bell?
Okay.
So, basically, his claim to fame, he was a South African professional sprinter. He was both a Paralympic and Olympic game.
So he has competed in both.
Yes, because he has nothing below his knees.
That is of natural origin.
Correct. He's just two stumps.
Got it.
And both his legs were amputated when he was a baby due to a congenital defect.
Okay.
So, basically his whole life he has been on these little stumps.
Right. So he's grown up not thinking anything different, in the sense that, he's not missing legs like we would if we lost a leg today.
Yeah, I'd be sad.
Well, you would look funny too.
Wow. So that was his claim to fame. Okay. He ran in the Olympics with these two blades, hence the nickname Blade Runner. Ha 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 ha.
Is that where that came from?
Well, that's where his nickname came from.
Oh, okay, but not the movie.
Not the movie. That.
Okay, so no correlation there at all?
No.
Okay, thank you.
No. So it kind of created a controversy because, some people thought, well, it's kind of an advantage because you don't have as much weight to kind of like spring forward.
Sure.
So, but that's a whole nother story.
And maybe not as much wind resistance?
Yeah, sure. I don't know.
Well,
I don't run. It's boring.
Well, I don't either, so I shouldn't even ask.
Yeah. So the reason why I bring him up, and for those not familiar, back in 2013 on Valentine's Day, in South Africa. Pretoria is where he's from.
Okay.
He claimed to be woken up to a burglar breaking in his house in the middle of the night. So he thought this burglar barricaded themselves in the bathroom for some reason, unaware that it was actually his girlfriend at the time, Riva Steenkamp.
Wait. What's the name again?
Riva.
Oh, that's a nice, wholesome, great girlfriend name.
So thinking there's a burglar in his bathroom,
Sure.
He did the rational thing, and he fired multiple shots through the door.
Oh, my gosh. Are you serious?
Yeah, killing her instantly. And her family believes this was entirely intentional because he was kind of a hothead.
So
he claims, I thought it was a burglar.
I mean, it is kind of a weird scenario to say that a burglar broke into my house, but didn't come attack me or didn't attempt to steal anything, but had to go to the bathroom and so barricaded themselves in the bathroom?
Yeah.
I mean, I've never heard that anywhere.
Clearly, you've never burgled.
Well, then if I ever do happen to go into that business of burglaring somebody, I'm going to definitely check out their bathroom. But that doesn't make sense.
No. And that's why now this was in February of 2013. By October of 2014, he was found guilty of culpable homicide. Not murder, culpable homicide. And he was released on house arrest in October of 2015. So for a whole year, he was released on house arrest while he was trying to appeal this. Okay. So he was free.
Yeah, I mean, he didn't have to live in a small, confined, prison cell or jail cell.
Yeah, he wasn't in, bend me over, rape me prison or anything.
Right. Don't drop the soap in the shower. So, but he was at home. He could only be at home.
Right. Now, the Supreme Court of Appeal in South Africa overturned the culpable homicide verdict and instead convicted him of murder. They're like, yeah, you know what? No, you killed her. So now, fast forward to July of 2016, the judge decided to extend his sentence to basically 15 years. Yeah. So he went in trying to appeal the culpable homicide, and they decided to promote it to murder and then add time. Yeah.
It's kind of a funky way of doing I guess the judicial system.
Yeah. South Africa.
I mean, I'm glad that they upgraded it to what should have been truly murder, but to Jimmy rig around, the amount of time, that's a whole other thing.
Now, we are back to more current events, our timeline. He was released on parole in January of 2024 after only doing about 8 years. So I guess good behavior.
I mean, that's almost cutting it in half.
Yeah. So he's technically on, I guess, another house arrest in a way.
Okay.
Which his sentence is over by 2029. So he's not necessarily a free man, but he's also not in prison.
I mean, depending on, I guess, how your house is, it could be good or bad.
Well, he currently lives in a cottage on his uncle's multi-million-dollar property.
So he can walk out of his cottage. He can enjoy this property.
Yes.
Right? He just can't go off to the movies or to theater or to a sporting event or whatnot.
Oh, yeah. He's got so many limitations. He may as well be in prison. Like I said, he has till 2029, and he's got parole officers who randomly check on him day or night, and they basically subject him to drug and alcohol testing. So he can't have anything stronger than Tylenol. He can have literally zero contact with Riva's family, which, why would he?
Yeah, I'm sure that the Rivas family doesn't really want to talk to him either. So
I'm sure they would like to have choice words with him.
Right.
He can't post anything on social media at all. So, again, I don't know who would follow this guy, but nothing on social media. He can't do any interviews, right? And this one was interesting. He cannot write a memoir about his experience. So essentially, this guy can't make money doing anything.
I'm just curious, not that I believe that this POS should be allowed to enjoy the luxuries of life, if you want to consider work luxury or not, but how does he make a living?
Well, like I said, he lives on his uncle's property, so I'm assuming that's rent-free. And, all the amenities that come with living on a multi-million-dollar property. So again,
I guess
probably
that
doesn't
isn't
have to
terribly
worry.
too bad.
Yeah, probably doesn't have to worry about food.
I mean, not everybody's house arrest situation is that type of a setup. So, in a
Also, it's South
way,
Africa, so very rich.
Yeah. Wow.
So basically, he kind of just helps around at the local church, kind of like a custodial in a way.
So he's allowed to go to like specific locations?
Yes. So I believe he's just allowed to pretty much just go to church, maybe even the store. People said like he's never smiling, he's not friendly, which, well, duh.
Well, I mean, he killed his girlfriend.
Yes. Now, having said all this, the reason why this pops up is because this dude is dating again.
So I'm sure that this new girl has to understand that he killed his girlfriend.
You would think, unless she's really the type to believe him,
but then
it's
again,
entirely possible.
But then again, one of our previous stories about the Mendez brothers are both married?
Well, I heard when they were playing with the idea of being released that she dumped him. That could be a rumor. I have no idea.
Yes,
I heard that rumor.
I think there was something about that. At least one of the brothers was going to possibly get dumped by...
And I just thought that was hilarious.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, God, no, I don't want you living with me.
So apparently there are women who do get caught up in the whole bad boy thing. And
well, so it's not just some rando woman who's, seeking notoriety because like, oh, look who I'm dating. Apparently this is somebody who they knew each other. She's like a friend of the family.
Is she a blader as well?
No, she's like a business management consultant. Yeah, so it's Rita Grayling, friend of the family. Not a whole lot is known about her outside of her social media presence.
Well, I just hope that she doesn't come home late at night while he's asleep and then barricades herself.
Stay out of the bathroom.
Stay out of the bathroom. Just be like, honey, I'm just going to fart right in front of you because I can't go to the bathroom because you might blow me away.
Yeah. This story just kind of like blew my mind with like, really?
Well,
really? After all this?
Kind of blew her away. So,
yes.
What a lousy, idiotic story.
I mean, he may as well just said, I fell and it went off.
I mean, seriously. Yeah, that's crappy. My heart goes out to the poor family of the girl who was unfortunately murdered, not accidentally killed, but murdered.
I mean, the evidence pretty much points to it. I think they said like she was up against the door when he fired into it.
Oh my gosh!
Which
so
why would you be up against the door unless you're trying to keep something or someone from getting in?
Yeah. There's more to that story that's not fully being fleshed out. Well, hopefully, while he's doing some work at the church, that he's finding a relationship with God and he's repenting because that guy is messed up.
Yeah, well, he's getting everything that's coming to him.
Oh my gosh. Well, I guess that wasn't as necessarily as bad as mine, but
yeah, you raised the bar a little high there.
Did I raise it?
Yeah,
not sure that's a bar that we always want to be striving for, but
you went from 0 to 100.
Well, we're gonna now, I think, pull ourselves out of the muck, the depths of POS hell, and turn to a much happier story. And it's interesting actually because your story had a little bit of a notation of disabilities in it because the person ran in the Paralympics, right?
Mm-hmm.
As you said, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So this one is a positive side. So this wonderful lady, Maureen Stanko, Stanko,
Stanko.
Well, I guess if you wanted to be more ethnic, that's probably correct. She lives in Pennsylvania, and her son Nick is somebody who has grown up with disabilities. And Nick is 20 and has a level of autism spectrum that he lives with in his life. Okay. And for parents who have, I have a very close family friends of mine who have a daughter who has grown up, born with disabilities and has lived all of her life. She's a sweet, sweet girl, but she can't necessarily just be on her own. So there's going to be a level of taking care of her that the parents are going to have to do, on up as she gets older. And the concern for a lot of these parents, like Maureen here, is what am I going to do to help my son, in this case, be able to live a life as an adult out there that doesn't necessarily always embrace people with disabilities. A lot of these folks don't necessarily just get a job anywhere and be able to work like you and I have for the last, X amount of years. I know that having worked at Disney, same for you, that we have seen people who have been hired by Disney. So I'll give kudos to the Disney company that they have actually hired people with disabilities. But even that is going to be to a certain limitation as well. So Maureen was lying in bed one night and about 3 a.m. thinking about what is she going to do to try to help her son. And that's when the idea came to her about maybe opening up a restaurant. Not necessarily an easy profession, but opening a restaurant where she could bring in her son as well as other young adults who are have disabilities that could have a job there. And it gives them a sense of purpose. It gives them something to do and all of that. And so she, and what's interesting is that in her conversation, actually, she was having with her father at the time about the idea of this, she said, and I quote, "When you have a problem, pray like hell, then get up off your knees and do something." This is actually what her father said to her. So that's when the idea popped in her head about starting this restaurant. So when she went ahead and started this, and the restaurant actually is called So Much to Give Inclusive Cafe in Cedars, Pennsylvania. She opened it in January of 2020, and she now employs 63 people.
Wow.
80% of those employees have disabilities. So, and a lot of the positions are filled by these folks as greeters and food runners and sous chefs and dishwashers and servers. And this actually has turned out to be a fairly successful cafe, which is awesome because obviously a lot of restaurants don't do so well when they start out.
Yeah.
So this has actually turned out to do fairly well enough, obviously to employ that many people is pretty darn good. And it's giving this opportunity for Nick and so many others with disabilities a chance, like I said, to work and be out there in society and give back. But the other benefit to this is it's actually opened up the opportunity for parents with children with disabilities to feel comfortable about coming there and not worry about if their son or daughter starts to act up or whatever, that others are going to pass judgment and look at them and make comments or whatnot. So this really has turned into a blessing overall. She's gotten recognition there on the local CBS News. And I just think that this is really cool that she did something rather than taking the route of, my poor son and woe is us and dumping it on to the state or the feds to have to take care of him or whatnot. She did something about it in a proactive way that gave a sense of life and purpose for these individuals.
What was the name of that restaurant?
The name of the restaurant, it's not a short name, So Much to Give Cafe. I think earlier it said inclusive, but I think it's So Much to Give Cafe.
I mean, not thrilled about the name, but
well, it's a long name, but
yeah, I mean, okay, it's fine. It's okay.
Well, I'm glad that you like that. Okay,
yeah, I'll allow it.
You'll allow it. Okay, well, that's nice.
I mean, I get that you want a name that also has a message. That's okay. I get it. And Denny's is already taken,
and your point was?
I don't think I had one.
Yeah, it probably wasn't a good one, anyways. If you were trying to get to something.
Yeah, my blood sugar is really low right now.
Oh no, that's not good. Well,
I've been staring at those cookies.
I have some cookies here for you.
Far too long.
So Maureen hasn't stopped with the cafe, though. This is where I'm really proud of this woman. Her dream was to, of course, create this space to teach people with disabilities beyond the cafe. So across the street from her cafe, she has opened up an inspiration studio where they teach music, life skills, crafts, and other classes for people with disabilities.
Oh, she's killing it.
I know, right? As she says here, I did originally think that So Much to Give was all about Nick and others with different disabilities. And what I've learned through the whole process is that this is not just about Nick and other people with disabilities. Everybody has so much to give.
Okay. I'm starting to come around to the name. It's like a brand.
A brand, exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
In that brand, it gives I would say probably the very distinct awareness of what the cafe is all about. It's so much to give. And when you go there and you discover the true meaning behind it, then, you won't have a problem spending the money there because you know that its greater cause is going back to help all of these individuals who have disabilities, with giving them life. I did, back in my high school years, I did a program through the state of California. They were doing an experimental program called Project Interdependence. It was a great program. They took a couple hundred kids from high schools all around the state to this travel camp in the Santa Cruz Mountains. And half of the kids had visual disabilities and the other half seemingly did not. And we did workshops together. We did plays together. We did, we had dances at night in the mess hall. And we basically coexisted for that week-long camp. And what you realize after a while is that all of us have a certain degree of disabilities. For some, it's visual that you can see on the outside. For others, you don't see them. It could be some sort of a mental illness issue. And I don't mean so much of the craziness that's gone on today where it's almost like a drop of a hat of an excuse. But there are legitimate mental illness, disabilities that some people have had that have gone on for decades. And there's others that you may not fully realize and discover until later on in life. But what was great about it is that it brought us all together to realize that we're all humans, that we all have different things, but collectively, if we all just help each other out, and where you might have a weakness there and I have a strength, I can help you out and vice versa, that's what only makes us better. Did you buy any of that?
Yeah. Just put that on a shirt.
Wait, how much? What was the cafe again? I put it away. So Much to Give Cafe. So
this was in Pennsylvania.
Pennsylvania.
Okay.
California, we don't give so much to give, but Pennsylvania, Maureen, my hat's off to you for that.
Yeah, that was a good story.
Did you like that? Did we clean up? I think we cleaned up this episode and ended on a much more positive.
Yes, my soul is happy.
And I won't even. I'm not even going to mention what our first story was, and then of course your story, all about happiness. Hopefully, episode 8 will be much happier.
Well, you know what?
Episode 9.
You know what would give me more happy?
What?
One of those cookies.
Okay, then we'll end here so we can have cookie break.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for allowing us to be a part of your busy day. If you haven't already, please like and subscribe for more stories.
And as always, be good humans for F's sake.